Tank. Shakur needs to go ahead and seal this deal here. Hopefully, he gets really on the horn and starts calling Loma out the way he was calling Devin out and everyone else. He needs to bring that same energy for Loma because Loma's been silent since he hadn't got the, couldn't get the rematch. He hasn't said nothing right now. So he needs to bring that same energy he had for for Devin, energy he had for Frank, anyone else, and bring that on Loma and make Loma put Loma in the corner like, hey, you wanted this. Here you go. This your shot. Let's do it.
Yeah, he should. He definitely needs to keep that same energy for Lomachenko that he had for Devin Haney. I would be disappointed if I see him bring a different energy than what he brought for Devin. But regardless, I'm just excited for him to get this opportunity. I'm really interested in seeing how he performs against Lomachenko. I think that's an excellent fight between two skilled fighters. Devin's going to bring, or Shakur's going to bring a different style to the ring than what Devin did. And of course, if Shakur comes in and it just completely destroys Lomachenko, he's going to get full credit for me in regards to that fight. Now, I want to transition to some of the comments that he made, and not the Terence Crawford comments, but the comparison of himself to Terence Crawford. That's where I sometimes struggle with Shakur Stevenson. And I've seen people in the comments section talking about we hate on Shakur. We've always hated on Terence Crawford. Hey,
Shakur's one of your favorite fighters.
Can you repeat that comment that you mentioned to me earlier today from Jermell Hill? What was that comment again you said she made?
Oh shoot.
It was something like people
I know what you're
will,
talking about.
yeah, people who do not understand you, they don't care to understand what it is you say. So stop wasting your time trying to explain it. That's where I'm at with it right now, right? There's a lot of people that misrepresent what we say, and you know, you kind of get. I saw Fanon go off the other day because I think that's what he was upset about, is just the constant misrepresentation of what we're saying. It gets old. But we don't hate on Shakur Stevenson. I actually like Shakur Stevenson. I like him in terms of his skill level. I like Devin as well. I like Tank as well. But I think sometimes he makes comments that don't make sense to me. Comparing himself to Terence Crawford in regards to not getting the proper credit that he deserves. Shakur is a pup in the game. Terence Crawford is somebody who had been undisputed at 140 pounds, a champion at 135. Felt like he wasn't getting his proper respect from the opponents that he beat, and then he moved up and fought Errol. Those are two different situations. You're getting the proper credit for where you are right now today in your career. Like, we all say Shakur Stevenson is a really good fighter, potentially a great fighter. Nobody said anything different, not from what I've heard. So
just want to see it.
Yeah, so if that's the case, and we are saying that you look like the next great fighter, or you look like another great fighter, then you're getting your proper respect. What do you want us to do? Shower you with respect like you're Errol Spence or like you're Terence Crawford, like you've been in the game for 15, 60? You haven't. So those are the comments that from Shakur that they just leave me baffled, bruh.
Yeah, they get annoying to me. It's like, he called everyone out, but when he had his opportunity to try to do be undisputed, to bet on himself for the 25%, regardless if he felt that was underselling himself, but you're betting on yourself to get all the belts in one shot, then you control everything.
Right.
You control everything at that point in time. And he's going to be at 135 for a while. He's not the type. He's not moving up to 140 no time soon. Devin is, because Devin's been at 135 his whole career, right? At 135 for Devin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Devin's not going to be. Devin already said he's moving up now to 140 to fight Regis, rather. Now, the thing that bothers me with the whole Devin situation is the fact that Devin's dad is like, we're staying at 135,
Right.
But they're staying at 135. We know for the real reason is the money to fight Tank, the opportunity to fight Tank. If Tank hadn't gone away, that probably been the next play for them. So him coming back at 135, he's not going to fight Shakur. That's not a big money fight. Skill-wise, I would love to see it. Yeah. But the money's not there for them to be on pay-per-view like that. Not just yet. And I know in the past, Bill had said, or either Bill or Devin had said they were going to meet at 140 in the future. So
Tunnel doesn't believe they want to fight Tank. We'll see. I haven't, to be quite honest with you, Tunnel Vision, I haven't heard a lot from not Shakur, But Devin Haney, in regards to fighting Gervonta Davis, like I don't know if I haven't heard a lot out of him saying that. Have you, Jay?
I've heard it more on Tank side. It's been more on Tank side saying, well, Tank hasn't said anything in a long time, but when he was saying, he did say he mentioned the two people he wanted to fight was Devin and Shakur.
Yeah, he did mention that.
Now you're right, Tony. I mean, they haven't said anything, but people use Tank's name a lot to clout chase. Tank's
That's
the
a fair
hottest
point.
one in the sport, so they're gonna use his name.
Facts.
So it's interesting there, but we'll see what happens later this year. I just want to see. Hopefully, that Shakur and Loma fight needs to happen this year. Needs to happen fourth quarter this year. Don't need to
Yeah, I hope
happen
it
in
does.
2024.
And there's no guarantee that Loma's going to actually take that fight. So Jay, walk us through it, because maybe I know you looked at this recently in terms of who are ranked in the WBC. If he chooses not to take that fight, he being Lomachenko, then who's after Lomachenko that could take that fight?
After Lomachenko, I believe it is Isak Cruz, but let me check to confirm. I want to say Cruz is next. I don't want to see that fight neither.
I don't think Cruz wants to smoke. He's already said he doesn't want to smoke, and I think
No,
he's
he
trying to
don't. He
position
wants a
himself for a
payday.
fight with
He wants a
Gervonta
payday.
Davis.
Yeah, in WBC after Loma, it's Shakur, then Cruz. Zepeda has a fight already lined up, and Zepeda don't want to smoke with Shakur already. Then there's Frank Martin at 5.
So is it
Then
possible that Frank
Edwin
Martin,
De Los
that's where I
Santos.
want to stop right there. Is it
Yeah.
possible that Frank Martin might get moved into a position just based off of how the rankings are currently? So if if this is only hypothetically speaking, if Lomachenko decides that he doesn't want that fight, then you got Isak Cruz, who already said that he doesn't really want that fight. Then you got William Zepeda, who's already set up and doesn't really want that fight because he's already said it, and Oscar De La Hoya doesn't want that fight. Frank Martin. Is it possible that we might get Frank Martin instead of Lomachenko if he decides that he doesn't want that fight? And I didn't really get the feeling that Lomachenko really wanted that fight with Shakur Stevenson.
Nah, he don't want that fight with Shakur. I don't think Loma wants that. Loma wants the rematch with Devin because he knows Devin right now. He's fought Devin for 12 rounds. It was a close fight. And he feels that if he starts early, he could probably win. Shakur, on the other hand, he's never fought Shakur, but Shakur brings high risk, no reward for him right now. Shakur is very hungry. Shakur has a high skill set just from what we've seen. Not saying that he can do it against every fighter, but from what the eye test, I think he has a very high skill set. So Loma don't want to have to fight several fights to be undisputed. That's his overall goal, to be undisputed right now, and that's right now he's in trouble right now as far as that, because he can't get that one fight no more. Now, to your point about who Shakur could fight for the WBC, if Loma chooses not to for whatever reason, which I don't understand why he wouldn't, would be Frank Martin, or someone's been calling Shakur out the whole time, and that's Edwin De Los Santos. He's been calling Shakur out like crazy. He's right after Frank. So I don't think Frank will turn that smoke down, because I think this is Frank's chance to get a fight title, and that's why he'll be able to really show what Frank is about. Is he ready for that type of competition or not? Yeah. And then there's Jermaine Ortiz right after Edwin De Los Santos. So there's some people in there, that I'd rather see Shakur fight if he doesn't get the Loma fight. I don't want to see him fight Cruz. I don't want to see him fight Cruz at all. I don't want Cruz to fight Tank neither.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, for whatever reason, we still had the subscribers only mode on. I just turned that off. That was only for last week because we wanted only people that were in the building that actually followed us to be talking. But Jay, where do you want to go from here, man?
Yeah, I want to address real quickly. I forgot about that point. King of 47 says they're going to make Lomachenko versus Kambosos in Australia, though, because Kambosos been clamoring for that fight against Loma. I mean, it'll be a lot of money selling on that one, just because especially if it's in Australia. But that'd be interesting. Yeah, King of 47. I agree. Not many people want Shakur. I don't think a lot of people want Shakur.
Yeah, Brian Ness, and I would have to agree with you at this point. I don't think Frank ready for it, but the way that Frank has talked, he would have to take it. Doesn't matter if he's ready for it or not. He's going to have to take it.
Unless he's going to find an undercard and fight Keyshawn Davis.
Anyway, man, before we move on to the next topic, Jay, we got 99 people in the building and 28 likes. If you get the opportunity, please hit the like button or the dislike button if you don't like the content, but make sure that you are engaging. And also, if you're new to the channel, this is AM Sports Media, the Angry Man Podcast. We are always dropping content on a regular basis, whether it's video clips, fight breakdowns, resume assessments that sometimes go wrong, and documentaries.
Hey, we own up to our shit.
We do it all here. Make sure that you come and be a part of the family. Hit that like button, guys. Hit that like button. We got 30 likes. Hit that like button. All right, Jay, where you at? Where you at with the next topic?
Well, since it's along the lines of Shakur and everything, and that 135 undisputed, might as well talk about undisputed champion at 135 with Haney. Haney Regis, they fighting, or are they fighting?
I mean, it sounds like they're fighting. So it felt like we already know that he's already made the WBC aware that he's going to fight Regis Prograis. So he's made that known, right? The question is, based off of what Regis Prograis had to say in one of his, I don't know, was it a tweet? Was it
waiting
a video?
on Devin to sign, supposedly? It was a video.
Yeah, he was saying, what's taking you so long to sign the contract? Well,
no,
I don't know.
Tweet.
That makes it sound... Yeah, that makes it sound like it's a little shaky or something. I don't know. I'm thinking they are going to fight because he's already made the proclamation to the WBC that he's moving up. So I think he is going to, I think they are going to have that fight. And I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I think it's going to be more competitive than what people think, or at least what we thought in the past.
I think so too. I mean, because Regis' last fight wasn't a good performance at all. He looked very vulnerable, and I know it's a replacement, but still though, it was rough. It was a homecoming fight and everything on that, so he looked bad in that fight there. But that power and him being rugged, that can be some problems for Haney. But Haney has to use that stick and stay on the outside. He won't win an inside game with Regis, I don't think. But it'll be a hell of a fight whenever they sign it. I know. Yeah. I think Regis said a couple weeks ago said he's going to be out of the country when this month or next month. So they couldn't fight in October. It's probably in November. Mm-hmm. So if they fight in November, we'll see how that goes. I mean, then depending on how that goes, we'll see. Because 140 is up for grabs in a sense right now. At first, I thought Regis was the top dog at 140, but now, the only person I don't respect or think is a top dog at 140 is Rolly. Because Grandpa was beating his ass. So, I mean, we have Matias. You have Tio, who had resurrected his career in that fight that he did with Josh Taylor. And then we have Regis. So, whoever wins out Regis Haney, we'll see what they do against the next ones. Whether they try to unify or Haney goes back down to 135 and tries to get Tank or not. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the fight. I don't know if there's much more to speak on in regards to the fight actually happening or not, or much to speak on until the fight is officially going to happen, because right now it's not official. But I'm looking forward to the fight. I think the fight is going to end up happening, but we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good call, Dante Hall, Boxing Talk. Forgot about Hitchens. Hitchens is still, I've seen a little bit of him. I like what I've seen so far, but I think he's still a little green right now. But he's definitely on the radar. For sure. Yeah, Tonovich said top dog is Teal. He beat the king of that division. I don't know if I could have called Josh Taylor the king of the division when they fought, because of the way Josh looked against Catterall. That's why I'm like, it's up in the air to me. It's almost like no clear cut top dog at 140. It seems.
I might agree with Tunnel on this one, and the only reason I say that is I was leaning toward Regis being the man at 140. But after that performance that he had, I think T.O. is that guy right now, because he beat the guy that beat him. And I thought maybe Josh Taylor had eroded to some extent and Regis was still at that point. But when Regis looked not so hot against dude, not to say that one performance, can make you or break you, but yeah, I mean, with that performance coupled with how good T.O. looked against the guy that beat Regis, it's kind of hard to make an argument that T.O. is not the guy right now at 140, in my opinion.
Yeah. And one fight, can't just be the whole end all be all, but we'll see. But I mean, I just want to see these fights get made, and we can let the dust clear at that point in time. I don't want to see Rolly get any of the top fight. I just want to see Rolly fight someone and lose that belt so we can move on to better fights at 140.
Yeah,
For that, he's a
absolutely.
hell of a talker though. I give him that, but fighting wise, nah, not at
Yeah.
all.
The Mike Check podcast is in the building. T Ward, the Mike Check podcast is in the building. Go check the My T Ward. Make sure you drop your link in the comment section. Jay, before we move to the next topic, 39 likes, 131 people in the building. Please hit that like button if you can. It helps people find the content. If you're new to the channel, this is AM Sports Media, the Angry Man Podcast. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and become a part of the family. Jay, what's next?
All right, well, I was hoping we had to talk about last week, but we may
It's
as well
all
rip
right,
that
man.
damn band-aid off, man.
Yeah.
So there was, these YouTube internet doctors saying that, trying to say he just had neurological issues. What's
Mm-hmm.
your take on that? Without ever
Yeah.
diagnosing him, seeing him a day in their life, nor being real
Yeah.
doctors.
I have a real issue with that. And I was sent the link by several people on YouTube. I was sent the link to on Twitter. And by the way, we should be streaming live on Twitter, but I don't think I actually started that, Jay. So let me make sure I start that. All right. So I know a neurologist. I got a friend who's a neurologist. It is completely irresponsible for anyone to attempt to diagnose anyone without seeing them, because there are so many different quote unquote symptoms that a patient can display that could be tied to any number of issues. So for this guy to jump on there and make these claims, he doesn't show his face. I don't know what his name is. All we know is supposedly he's a neurologist and a doctor. To make these very, very bold claims of Spence having neurological issues is extremely suspect, and we never commented on it. And I had someone reach out to me, and it's so interesting, Jay. Like, since we've been doing this the last, let's call it 16, 17 months, and your platform grows, you start to make connections with different people, and you start to have this boxing circle, right? And when you have this boxing circle, information flows, and it's all kind of people, man. It's people that are in the business of boxing. It's people who are managers. It's people that are small promoters. It's people that are boxing judges, other YouTube channels, a lot of different stuff. You start to meet people, and information flows. And the information that I got was that Spence, and I'm not saying that this is correct. I know the source, and the source doesn't have a reason to lie to me that they got this information. And I know where they got that information from. I know directly where they got that information from. So my understanding was that Spence had a rib injury and did not spar the last 6 weeks of camp, which is basically the entire camp.
Yeah.
Which hurt him in terms of his ability to naturally lose weight by also sparring. So he had to do, additional, cardio and other things that could possibly, dehydrate you. If you guys remember, Spence was out there running in Las Vegas with Frank Martin. Frank Martin had on some shorts and no shirt. Spence was still running with like this kind of, I don't know, thermal shirt on and some sweats.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what was given to me. I'm giving it back to you guys because it was information that I was told that it was okay for me to share it if I chose to. It was I could share it if I wanted to, if I didn't want to, and I debated it. Am I going to share this? Am I not going to share this? Because you know how people are. They get upset. It's an excuse, even though I said this doesn't negate anything from Terence Crawford because he looked amazing during the fight. But that is the information that we got, that he has no neurological issues, that nobody would have sent him out there in the ring with neurological issues. And it's interesting to me that people will believe an internet doctor that they've never seen the credentials. He just comes on a boxing platform or whatever platform he was on and says that this man has neurological issues, but dismiss the fact that Spence had the car accident back in 2019, has been approved to fight in both Nevada and Texas. So both of those boards would have had to have been in on the fact that he had some kind of neurological issue and or missed it. Then he's had some examination by doctors that are outside of those entities. All those guys missed all of that. Not saying that it's not possible, but I don't think it's probable, right? So they'll dismiss all that and just believe this one guy who they don't know from Tom, Dick, or Harry that Errol Spence has neurological issues. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's like, I mean, I've torn both my ACLs. And I'm not a doctor or anything. I can see a person fall and, they go one way, the body goes the other way. I'm like, ooh, that could be. But I'm not sitting there diagnosed like, that guy definitely got a torn ACL. He should never walk again. He should never do squats or anything like that. I'm just like, I gotta wait till they get seen. So it's neurological issues are they're very hard to diagnose at times, especially if you're just looking from the outside. You don't know anything about this dude's history like that. So I mean, it's just wild to me. It's just wild.
It's totally crazy. It's totally crazy to me that that anybody would just grab onto that, man, and ride with that wave, not understanding and add midstream. Well, I don't know what that means.
So Joe Blow, we've already given Bud his credit. These are not excuses. These are just facts of the matter that information has relayed to us. We're not saying if Spence had a full, let's say this is true that he did have a rib injury, right? Couldn't train properly to get down to the weight. We never said once that will really change the full dynamics of this fight. Not once. Not once. Hell, we even saying they have a rematch at 154. As much as I like Spence, I'm not picking Spence because of what happened in that last fight. Do I see some things he could do differently? Yeah. Does it guarantee? I'm not saying that's going to make him win the fight automatically. No. So, right. I mean, you can diagnose some stuff on some people and just still say that, hey, he had these things here. That's not what might not change the fight or who wins or loses. The excuse is saying the only reason Spence lost is because he was out of shape. That's an excuse. So I'm saying that's the only reason he lost. We never said any of that.
Never. And that's the thing that kills me about some of these comments. No matter what you say, they don't want to understand it because they want to actually battle the narrative. And that's fine. If you want to just battle the narrative, that's fine. But I'm not going to battle you on a narrative that we didn't create. But yeah, I thought it was crazy, Jay, that people were riding with this too. I thought it was irresponsible of the guy to even do and say that. So for me, I couldn't ride with that. I put out the information that I received is what I got. I don't know if you're going to hear anything about it. I've heard that other people now know about this. It is what it is. And we'll see if that information ends up coming out from some other sources that are more closely tied to the Errol Spence camp. But yeah, that's really all I got to say on that, Jay. What do you want to transition to?
I mean, we might as well transition talking about potential next fight for EJ and the rematch. What adjustments he can be made to possibly make this fight a little bit more competitive.
One area I would like to go to before we go there is I've seen a wave of people in the comment section talking about Terence Crawford in that performance and not being suspicious of Terence Crawford's performance because they've never seen Spence get pummeled in one round, face all bloodied up and all that other stuff. Terence looked amazingly strong in the fight. And they've wanted us to speak on that. So here's my comment to that. Number one, absent of proof, I don't like talking about things like that. You know what I mean? Like I get that you can compare different performances and all that stuff, but for me, a little bit irresponsible to just go straight to Crawford is on the juice or something like that. I'm not going to go there. The other thing is, I don't know whether or not it was that Crawford looked so strong, or was it Spence was just so weak?
Weak.
Because Spence looked very weak. It was on the telecast where Floyd went over to the commentator booth and told them that Errol was drained, that he didn't have anything after the second round. Said Errol was drained. He struggled to make the weight. He was drained. Errol looked off balance. He looked extremely weak in that fight. And not to say, because Terence looked extremely sharp, so that's not taking anything away from Terence, but that Errol looked off. He looked real off. And we're going to do a video on this, so I'm not going to go down this topic, but he did look off. So I'm not going to sit up here and say, I don't know if they have VADA testing or anything like that, because we didn't get a whole lot in terms of like the contract. So I don't know if they have VADA testing or not. I can tell you that I know for a fact that cheating has become so complexed that it's very hard to detect it these days. And there's stuff that can flow through your system in and out in like 24 hours. Plus, there's a lot of things you can do. You can train ahead of time, and you'll still have the effects of, all the training that you did while you were on the juice once you get off. So it's hard to detect. I'm not going to say anything about Terence Crawford and his performance. His performance was what his performance was. And absent of anybody proving that he's on something, I ain't going there. But I will go to what I saw in Errol Spence, and that dude looked drained. He had to have been drained. He was way too weak, so weak that jabs were knocking him down. He looked like Kell Brook in there, and I thought Kell Brook was weight drained when he came back down.
Well, a couple things.
So it is what it is. It is what it is.
A couple things about the jab.
Yeah, go ahead.
That Bud talked about it, and from my own observation, like the jab, it wasn't just a regular flicking jab. Bud even talked about how he was worried about Spence jab so much he knew that he couldn't use the flicking jab. The jab with Spence, he had to use a piston like jab, so he was making sure his jabs were actually more like hard jab. So the first knockdown, Bud even said it. He said it wasn't a jab that knocked him really down. It's the hit, the first, the left that got him, that glazed him in. It was like a flash knockdown. Now later on, by attrition and by the totality of what he had been going through, he could have got knocked down by damn near anything later in that fight. Like we're talking about round 7, he got knocked down I think twice, and that round 1 was a jab. But his Bud's jab weren't just regular jabs; those were power jabs. I mean, those were drop you. And he talked about that in epilogue last night after the fight, the replay of the fight. He talked about what they trained on and everything. But I give Bud all the credit in the world. He was calm, cool, and collected though. The first round, Spence he looks like he was trying to be himself, but he did look all, but I give Bud all the credit in the world. Bud stayed so damn calm. Bud stayed true to himself. I give Bud all the credit in the world, but about Spence, I think something was wrong with Spence. But they didn't make it any easy on him. And no, I'm not saying anything Spence can do would have changed this fight here. I think this fight was going to go this way regardless, one way or another, it seemed. Now, a rematch, we'll see what adjustments he can make to make it more of a competitive fight. But if I have to pick someone, I'm picking Bud because of this performance here.
Yeah, so John Kramer says his legs was wobbly when he got up from the first knockdown. Spence's legs were off in the first round. When I walked in, remember Jay, I got in a little bit late, and I didn't sit down at first. I just looked at the fight, and I said, man, Spence looks shaky. That was the first thing I thought. He looked shaky, and this was round 1. He hadn't taken any damage yet, and he looked shaky. I don't look like Spence. So it was, it is what it is. I see somebody in there saying, who was that I just saw? Terence doesn't. I saw it somewhere. Terence doesn't smoke or drink. Now people saying that he's doping. Y'all arms are about to tear off from all the reaching. I guess he's never talking about somebody in the chat. He must be talking about somebody in the chat because he can't.
Because we've never accused Bud of doping or anything like that. We clowned about the gloves against David Avenesian because that was crazy and weird and suspicious as hell. That's to anyone. Did the gloves make a difference what he was going to do to David Avenesian? No. He was going to win that fight regardless because he was the better fighter. In this fight here, Terence looked
Edwin
good.
Torres is a hater, man. Edwin Torres is an absolute hater. I haven't said anything that was fan first regarding Errol Spence. Gave Terence Crawford full credit for winning the fight. The way that Terence boxed, I think Errol would have had a problem with him regardless of the night. But definitely if Errol was as strong as what we normally see him, I think the fight would have been more competitive. I'll say that till the cows come home. I absolutely will. This is not an excuse. He looks scared. All this other simple shit TV.
That's ridiculous.
It's just what it is.
Scared of either.
Yeah, it's just what it is. Okay. So Jay, I'm sorry, I had interrupted you. You were going to a different topic, but before we go there, we got 176 people in the building, 50 likes. Guys, get those likes up for us. And if you don't like the content, please hit the dislike button, but make sure that you're engaging with the content. And also, if you're new to the channel, this is AM Sports Media, the Angry Man Podcast. We are always dropping boxing content on a regular basis, whether it's clips, documentaries, resume breakdowns that don't always go correct. It is what it is, but we are always dropping it, and we're always here and engaged with the folks, even when things don't go right with our picks. Just like we were all last weekend, I was up here a human punching bag, and I took all of it from the likes of people like Edwin Torres. I took it from him. So, guys, show us some love. Hit those likes. All right, Jay, where you want to go?
Yeah. First, David H. will appreciate the contribution of $4.99. Says Spence needs to look at the Mean Machine fight and the Porter versus Bud fight. The layoff had its effect, and a rematch can't let Bud stay on outside. Agreed, David. He can't allow Bud to stay on the outside, and he wasn't doing anything that DJ was telling him to do. He wasn't turning him on anything. He just stayed right in front of him.
Here's the other thing, man. And I love EJ. EJ is my guy. It's man down strap season for life. Put him Mr. Dirt. Put him in the dirt. It's all of those things. The biggest. But Errol, to some degree, believed his own hype. And I think he went into that fight believing that all he needed was pressure and his will. And what Errol Errol's the whole notion that Errol, I don't need a tune-up. I don't need tune-ups. I don't do tune-ups. I don't need tune-ups. I think that combined with the fact that I believe he was a little bit weight drained made this a non-competitive fight. I really do believe that. Because Errol looked a little bit rusty in the Ugas fight. Then he turns around and fights, 15 months later or something like that? 14 months later?
Yeah.
At a weight that probably doesn't suit him anymore. And he didn't look good. I'm curious to see what he looks like when he gets to 154. How strong he looks. Yeah. Does he look really it's just going to be his strength. And then he needs to get his ass right back in the ring. Now, should he go right back into a Terence Crawford match? In my opinion, no. I wish somehow they could work into the contract where they would take a fight in between and then a rematch. Because I think Errol needs a tune-up to fine-tune what he is, right? And get himself back to where he needs to be and using a lot of the skills and the attributes that I know he has versus relying just solely on the pressure and because I think he looked at Crawford like, I'm just going to go in there and break his will. And the guy brought more of a I would say that Terence Crawford plan A was working, and Errol I think was locked in too. I got to break his will. I got to break him. I'm gonna break his will. I got to break his will, and it didn't work, and he never changed. Mm-hmm. Now was that because he was drained and his body didn't allow him to react? I don't know, but he's got to make sure that he is properly prepared to go into the ring in his next fight. Shouldn't be at 47 anymore. Move up to 54. If he could take an interim fight, that would be great. And then go from there. That's my thought.
Hey, King R and Manolo, we're not saying that 154 Spence will beat Bud in the rematch. We're saying ways that he can adjust and make it more competitive. And who knows, he might be able to pull it out. Don't know. But we're not saying right now, if the rematch happens right now, we're picking Spence. No. We're seeing things that EJ didn't look normally like himself just before he even got in the ring. Once he got in the ring, Terence made him uncomfortable with stuff he was doing. EJ wasn't listening to Derrick James to try to turn Terence. He was just standing right in front of Terence the whole time. So what are you talking about where you need to come reality? He could be possibly, it could be kind of like Shane Mosley, Vernon Forrester. No matter what Shane could do, Vernon Forrester had his number.
Yeah. Styles make fights.
It happens like that, and that's fine. And the thing is this, people that discredit Spence right now, you're disrespecting Bud, because Spence could be the number two best fighter at 147 right now. Be clear, his could be well above everyone else, and Bud can just be just that far above him and above everyone else as well, and that's okay.
That's a great point. That's a great point. You literally, Terence Crawford fans and trolls literally discredit Terence Crawford by saying that Errol Spence was XYZ. You're discrediting him. It makes absolutely no sense to even make those comments, but it is what it is. A lot of fans are not rational, and that's okay too.
Yeah, it's like, unless we're saying everything great, if Bud is the best ever, he'll beat Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali in the same night in their prime. We're hating on Bud. Nah.
Manolo,
yes, great.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I said, basically. Spence is a real good fighter at 147. Bud is better. He proved it last Saturday.
David H. Feels Spence timing and defense will win a rematch. We'll see. Boy, I have a hard time calling that right now. I think he can be more competitive, though, for sure. The next time I see them, and Jay, you know I normally do this. I normally wait till I see two fighters at the scale before I make a pick. And I remember looking at Crawford and Errol and thinking to myself, man, Crawford looked like he is big as Errol. I hope what they say about him isn't true, that he's going to be like this bear in the ring in terms of strength-wise, because that would pose a problem for Errol, because Terence is going to have the advantage from the outside. Errol needs to have the advantage in the inside. So I would make my judgment call on the rematch, if there is a rematch. I would make it based off what I see once they weigh in.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
What's the next
both
topic?
Fighters are great. I want 47.
Topics that we haven't covered yet.
So we talking about Bud. I saw someone put in the chat asking us about Jaron Ennis.
Oh yeah.
So let's get into it, my man. It's like, Bud fans, are y'all concerned about the Boots fight? You know, is it because he hasn't fought anybody? His resume is not up to snuff? I heard that sounds familiar. That he's not deserving of a fight with Bud, or is it because y'all don't want to see him fight Bud? What is it?
Yeah, this is an interesting one, man. And these are the things that, you know, fan is short for fanatic, and so because of that, when you're a fanatic, you don't use your logic all the time. And those are all the sentiments that were addressed by, or that were stated by PBC fighters. Who has he fought? He needs a belt first. What's his resume? He needs to go fight XYZ first. For what? Boots is the mandatory. Oh, it's too early for him. Why? The IBF isn't saying it's too early for him. Why are you? I don't understand that. Like, my opinion, if Terence Crawford chooses not to fight Jaron Ennis because he moves up to 154 pounds, you will never hear me on this channel say that Terence Crawford is ducking Jaron Ennis. If he's moving up there to try to claim a 154-pound title, you won't get it from me, because that's something that will put him in legendary status. But if he moves up to simply fight, like, I don't know, some bottom dweller at 154 pounds, or maybe even a Tim Tszyu fight, which I think is a plausible fight for him if he's trying to become undisputed. But if he stays at 147, I want to see him in there with Jaron Ennis. And I've heard people make the excuses, oh, but Keith Thurman deserves a fight first. Stanionis deserves a fight first. Since when does Terence Crawford fans care about Stanionis and Keith Thurman?
Keith Thurman.
Why do you care what order they get fights in? Who cares? Why do you care about that? So if it's Jaron Ennis first, if people want to see him in the ring with Jaron Ennis versus the other two, then they should make the Jaron Ennis fight. No, it's got to be Keith first. Want to know why people are saying that? And this is just my opinion. Terence Crawford fans, I won't say fans, but trolls, and some fans are concerned about Jaron Ennis, and they are concerned about the size and the skill level of Jaron Ennis. And Terence Crawford, in my opinion, doesn't bring, not to say that Terence Crawford can't win that fight, because I would actually pick Bud at this point, but Terence Crawford's
Hold on, what'd you say? Who would you pick again? Say it one more time, Greg.
I would actually pick Terence Crawford at this point. But Boots' weaknesses are not necessarily Terrence's strengths. So, and I've only seen one weakness in Boots. So I think there's some concern in regards to this guy. Like, I don't want to hear anything about Keith Thurman deserves a shot first. What's the other one? He doesn't have a belt, which he actually is the interim IBF champion. He doesn't deserve to fight, although he's the IBF mandatory. He needs to go fight somebody. I don't want to hear any of that. He's the mandatory. Fight him if you stay at 147 pounds, period.
Yeah.
In the story.
I mean, at 147, that makes the most sense to me is for Bud to fight Boots. If EJ doesn't invoke the rematch for this year. If Bud stays at 147, since he always fights his mandatories, and Boots is a mando, that should be his next fight. That would be the only fight I want to see Bud fight at 147. If Bud chooses to go at 154 and move on up, I understand that as well. Because he said it's hard for him to make the weight. So I get both sides of it. And if Bud were to move up to 154 and fight Tim Tszyu for the WBO belt, or somehow get the Charlo fight, you can't call it a duck. He's ducking Boots. You can't say that. So I mean, I'm not mad. I'd love to see the fight though. I would love to see this fight. Just see how he stacks up against Bud. See what he does. See, this is people that just say stupid stuff like head 3-6 rigger. Heard enough, y'all butt haters. The name calling aerosexual types. How are we hating on Bud when we say Bud is going to beat Boots? Get out your feelings, man.
Champy, I wasn't talking about Crawford in that comment. But Jay, we at 52 minutes, so we're getting close to about that time to open up the phone lines. You know, a lot of Terence Crawford fans have been in the comment section also saying that, all the Errol Spence fans are jumping to Boots Ennis. No, that's not true. At the end of the day, we Errol Spence fans, and I like Terence Crawford too. I don't dislike Terence Crawford.
Hold on, Greg. First, let me correct you. At the end of the day, we're boxing fans.
Correct.
At the end of the day.
But now we do need somebody to come through and kick Bud's ass. Now, and if that's Ennis, then so be it. I'm okay with that, guys. All right, man. Let's move to the next topic, dude. Now, people not even gonna know that I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything's gonna be taken seriously and literally. We ain't jump ship. All we did was add a passenger on our ship. Nope, we just added a passenger. Now we've added Jaron Ennis to the ship. We got Errol on the ship. We got Jaron Ennis on the ship. That's all we saying.
If we were hating on Bud, we would say Bud didn't deserve that win. Bud is doing the XYZ. We never said any of that. We gave Bud all the credit in the world for what he did. All the credit in the world. We also said that if Bud moved up to 154, before they said they're going to strip Jamel Charlo, and Jamel Charlo was still at 154, and he beat Jamel to be undisputed again, we said that would be some G shit. That'd be some legendary shit right there.
Yep, they miss all that stuff
But
though. Man,
yeah,
let me give a shout out to my guy, Manager
Manager
Marty,
Marty.
in the building. Roll the tape.
You know
What's
it.
going on, man? All right, Jay. So what's the next topic? We got about 5 minutes before I think we open up the
Yeah.
line.
So we might as well go ahead
Excuse me,
and the
guys.
last thing with Bud and he wants Mel. I don't know if that'll happen with Jamel being at 168 on September 30th. I don't think that's gonna happen the rest of the end of this year. I don't think after Mel fights Canelo on September 30th, I don't think he'll fight again the rest of this year. I think he'll probably come back in like March, April next year. So Bud fighting Mel, and Bud said he's not going above 154. I don't think that'll happen because Mel will have to come right back down 2 weight classes. So I don't think that'll make sense. Plus, it won't be for won't be for undisputed since Mel gonna be stripped of the WBO belt anyway. So it might probably come back in like March, April next year. So
Yeah,
feedback.
yeah, that was me. I was trying to check the damn the Twitter feed, but something's going on with the Twitter feed. Hey, T Ward, let me know if you can see our Twitter feed right now. But anyway, Jermell Charlo, I don't believe that fight's gonna happen. Mel going up to 168 pounds and then coming back down to 54 would be akin to, in my opinion, Roy Jones moving up to heavyweight and then coming back down. He looked like shit against Antonio Tarver because he had to burn off so much lean muscle. Now maybe Mel won't have to burn off as much, but Mel did make the comment, in an interview where he basically said one of the advantages that he's going to have against Canelo Alvarez is the fact that he won't have to struggle to make 168, which implies that he had to struggle to some extent to make 154. So why would you go up and come back down? And I know people said that Mel said that he's not done at 154, but I've searched around and I can't find anywhere where he actually said that or someone is quoting him. So I don't know if that's factual or not. My opinion.
Yeah, I don't know if that's factual or not either. I mean, that's just a lot. Especially if Bud's trying to fight again this year, it's not going to be Mel. It's going to be either the rematch with Spence, if Spence go ahead and invokes that, or if he wants to try to get in 154 and get a belt real quick, he'll fight Zoo.
And you know what's interesting about that, bruh, is like, Terence Crawford is not going to get full credit if he beats Jamel Charlo that goes up and comes back down, meaning he goes up, loses to Canelo Alvarez, and then comes back down. He's already discredited that win by making the comment that Kell Brook went up and fought Gennady Golovkin and came back down, which means he was weight drained. Similarly, you can make the same argument for Jamel if he goes up and then come back down. So he's discredited his own win if he were to move up and fight Jamel Charlo and beat him. See, those are the things. That's the reason why you always got to be very careful with what you say. And I know when you get in front of a camera, you give a lot of takes. Boy, you give a lot of takes. And sometimes it's hard to remember all your takes. But that take right there would discredit. Now, if he were just moving up and fighting Mel, I don't think it would. And Mel was not already going up and then having to come back down. But the fact that Mel will have to go up and come down, I simply cannot give him full credit if he wins because using his logic, he's saying that he shouldn't get full credit. And of course, Terence Crawford fans are going to argue that and get mad about that as well.
They don't like that. They don't like that at all. But some people said that that Mel said that to Brian Custer on Showtime that he's not done at 154. You know, I don't. Me personally, him going up to 168 and coming back down to 154, just historically is just hard going up 2 weight classes. And we don't know how that fight's going to turn out with him and Canelo. So that could be also impacting a potential fight with him and Bud. But right now, Bud, to me, his only option right now is Spence. Because that's the first and foremost. He has to wait on Spence if Spence is going to invoke that rematch. If not that, if he stays at 147, go ahead and knock out Boots, which is your mandatory. We'll go at 154 and fight him. Those are the 2 fights I would see.
Lost GPS. Everything has its proper context. So he can go up and become a 3-time champion. He won't go up and become 3 times undisputed because Mel won't have the WBO title. That's number one. Yeah. Number two, everything gets put in its proper context. And if Mel is going up and then coming back down and he's weight drained, people are going to remember that, dog. Don't think people are not going to remember that. All right, man. Jay, the phone lines are now open. So we got people getting ready to call in. And yeah, we got somebody call in already.
Here we go.
You are on the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. Who do we have in the building?
Hey, this is Jay from Atlanta.
What's going on, man? I'm also in Atlanta. What's happening with you? What part of Atlanta you in?
Downtown Atlanta.
Gotcha. All right, cool.
I actually went to the fight last Saturday, so this is the first time listening to any type of boxing since then. I'm hurt just like y'all hurt, man.
I feel you, bro.
So today is my first day I actually listen to any type of YouTube channels. I didn't heard the excuses and all that, but I mean it wasn't Errol night. It just wasn't Errol night. But my question is, hypothetically speaking, if the rematch doesn't happen, how about a Errol Spence versus maybe a Erickson Lubin fight?
It's a good fight.
Or a Jared Hurd fight?
Hurd
at 154.
Middleweight. Hurd can't make 54 anymore.
He got knocked. Hurd got knocked out at middleweight last fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was at middleweight.
Or maybe a Erickson Lubin fight for Spence to introduce himself to the 150, or maybe a rematch with Danny Garcia.
Also a good fight.
I don't want to see no rematch with Danny Garcia, but
coming off
Danny Garcia
I don't necessarily want to see it either, but coming off of a loss, it might not be a bad idea. If he doesn't fight Terence Crawford, let's make that clear.
If he doesn't fight Terence Crawford, but I want to know what is it that he feels going to be different at 154. I mean, like I said, I'm a Spence fan just like y'all, and I had to witness it live with no commentary on ass whooping. I mean, butt kicking, but what do you feel would be different at 154? Is he going to carry that? Do he feel that 7 pounds is going to carry better on him?
Yeah,
I think it'll help him out.
Yeah, for sure. If you're struggling to get yourself down below a certain weight, and you're dehydrating yourself and not eating appropriately to get down in weight. Now, he did have a dietitian, but there's no telling what he did toward the end to actually make the weight. I don't know. But if those 7 extra pounds where you don't have to work to get down, I think will be a big benefit to Errol. Now, will that mean he wins the fight? No. He's going to have to improve on some other areas in terms of his skills and what he's bringing to the table and vary up his offense and his attack. But I think it will help him in terms of his strength.
I actually thought that he would go into that fight with the game plan he had against Mikey Garcia. That was my thought of going into that Terence Crawford fight, that he would come in with the game plan like Mikey Garcia. Because in Mikey Garcia fight, he was more swift. He was more defensive. He moved better. And he didn't really throw a flurry of punches against Mikey Garcia. But he did break Mikey Garcia. I think Mikey Garcia gave up when he realized he couldn't win. And he broke Mikey Garcia down the last 6 rounds.
Yeah.
At least that's what I thought. He should have came in with the mic. Like you said, he got more tools in his belt. He got way more tools in his belt than what he showed last Saturday. And I figured he would come in with that game plan like he came with Mikey Garcia, because I've never seen Spence fight like that ever when he fought Mikey Garcia. And he didn't fight like that ever again after that.
Yeah, I thought he was going to fight more like how he fought against Danny Garcia. Try to be swift to the inside to get shots off. He was just right there in front of him. Like Jason said in the past, it was like he was stuck in mud. And Crawford just got off. So it is what it is. Hopefully he goes back into the lab.
I know, man.
Figure some things out, because if he doesn't, like I said, it's not just a weight drain issue. Some of that, how much that can improve. If it's a situation where he's so weight drained that it becomes difficult for his body to react, or it becomes difficult to think through what you need to do, then yeah, maybe that will have a dramatic impact. I don't know. I don't know if he was weight drained like that, but certainly
But
there's going to have to be some things done different.
Can he improve in 6 months?
Yeah, of course
I
he
think
can.
he can improve.
Because the reason why I say that is because I think he already has the skills. I just think he felt that partly all I got to do is walk this guy down. I'm just going to walk him down and break him, and that wasn't the correct game plan. It didn't sound like it was necessarily the initial game plan that was developed by Derek James. So sounded like he was kind of doing his own thing in there to some extent.
Yeah, he was just determined just to do one thing. He was determined to, like you said, to try to break Bud's will, and he just went straight forward, right into Bud's playbook. Bud was like, "Oh, you just going to come straight forward and you keep your head right there on the line? Okay, I'm gonna get you." So I mean, in a rematch at 154, I think it helps Spence out, but we also gotta know it helps Bud out as well because Bud said it was hard for him to make 147. So just like Spence is going to be better at 154, I think Bud will be better because I don't think Bud's going to be one just to sit and rest on what he did in this fight here. I don't see Bud just like, well, I already know how to beat him. I think Bud's going to really be like, okay, I'm going to see what else Spence going to bring to the table because he knows Spence is a hell of a fighter. So it'll be an interesting matchup to see what they both bring differently at 154.
Yeah, it will be. Boy, some of these guys in the chat.
You think it was a little bit of psychological too? Him getting knocked down. Spence never been knocked down either.
Yeah, that could have definitely played a role in it. Absolutely. You get knocked down on your ass for the first time. Yeah, that can play a role in how you perform afterwards. But in front of millions
of fans, because Spence does have a little bit of rabbit ears. He does care what people say outside of that ring.
Let me clarify something though. That's a Spence issue, right? Like that's part of the game. Get put on your ass, so he got to be able to overcome that.
Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things I thought about too. When he got knocked on his ass the first time, he said, "Oh man, that's getting to him." Because you got to think you got to remember what he said when he thought his teeth got knocked out. He said, "Oh man, that would have been embarrassing seeing my teeth knocked out." With him being knocked down on his ass, I think that definitely played a role in the fight for the rest. Because I mean, after the knockdown, I don't really think he won a round. I mean, maybe round 3, but
yeah. Yeah,
but that's why I called to tell, man. I was just really curious of what Plan B was going to be for Errol if he didn't fight Terence Crawford, and I'm thinking probably either they can slide in and get the Tim Tszyu fight maybe, or maybe get a eliminator fight with Erickson Lubin maybe.
I don't know, man. We'll see what ends up happening. I mean, he has several options. There are going to be a lot of people that would love to get into the ring with Errol Spence because he's going to bring dollars. So we'll see what happens. Anything else you want to share with the people?
All right. Y'all take it easy.
All right,
oh, no, that's peace. That's it.
All right, later. All right, man. We got 200 people in the building, 95 likes. Guys, if you get the opportunity, please hit the like button or the dislike button if you don't like the content, but make sure that you're engaging. And also, this is AM Sports Media, the Angry Man Podcast. Welcome to the channel. And if you get the opportunity, please subscribe. We got the 310 in the building. What's going on with you?
Hey, what's up, Adrian from LA? What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's going on with you, Adrian?
What's up?
Chilling. All right. Good to hear you guys. I want to talk about a little something to do with, double standards when it comes to Canelo, man. So is it that Charlo's going to get stripped of his belt, right? Because he's going up to fight against Canelo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess David Haney's probably going to get stripped of one of his belts too, whatever, right? He can always go back and fight for it. But yet Canelo can go wherever he wants and he gets to keep his belt, man. What's up with that, man? I mean, is that just the way it goes or what?
I think it's more so tied with the level of revenue that he generates. And, let's keep him with all the belts so that we can keep him with the 3%. That's my guess on it. That's the only thing that would make sense. The other guys are not as quite a draw. And with being such a draw, they're going to give you a little bit of leeway.
Okay. I hear you're talking about it. So it's all to do with that 3% then probably. One more thing. As far as the boots go, I love me some boots, man. Give Boots his shot. If you look back in the old days, man, I mean, like when Leonard first fought Hearns, I believe Leonard might have been about 24, 25, and Hearns was 23, something like that. These guys fought when they were young, man. I mean, we're over here, Crawford's 35, Errol's 33. They're great fighters, but they're washed up compared to the way Leonard and Hearns were. When Leonard and Hearns fought the second time, they were 33 and 30, something like that.
Right.
That age they were at fight number 2. So we got to get these guys fighting at a younger age. Boots is 26. Let him get in there right now. I mean, if Boots is really what I think he is, what I know he is, let him get in there with Bud right now. You know what I'm saying? And if Bud can take him out, you know what? That'll just add to Bud's accolades later on. He can say, you know what, man? I knocked out the up-and-coming lion that everybody thought was the shit. I knocked him down and made him nothing. But if he can't do it, and then Boots can show he's the real deal, then hey, man, we can bring in a new era of boxing where guys fight when they're younger. Get Boots in there with Ortiz and Stanionis, all those guys when they're young, man. We don't got to wait till they're older now, man. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
Floyd did it with Canelo, and Canelo wasn't Canelo of today, and Floyd did it.
True.
So yeah, I don't see any reason why Terence Crawford cannot do that if he chooses to stay at 147 pounds. That's only if he chooses to do that.
You're right. And right now, Bud runs the show. I got to give him that. He beat Spence fair and square, whatever the excuse is, whatever. But he beat him. So yeah. But if he stays at 147, he's got to fight Boots, man. He's got to fight Boots. But if he goes to 154, he can do what he wants. And Spence really can't call the shots. I mean, Spence wants to fight him at 154, but if Bud decides to say, "Hey, I'll fight you, but I'll fight you at 147," hey, man, oh well. I mean, to the victor goes the laurels, right?
There you go. Exactly.
So you just want to leave you guys with that, man. Hey, man, I appreciate all you guys' time you guys put in. Love the videos every day, man. Jason and Greg, you guys have a real good day, man. Appreciate your time, man. Shout out to my dad in heaven. Love you, Dad. And my son, Jeremiah. Love you, son. You guys have a great day, man. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Appreciate it, Adrian.
You too, Adrian.
Yo, we got the 513 in the building. What's going on with you?
I just got a quick question for y'all.
Yeah.
And I know it might be a little far-fetched, but I just want your opinion on this. And I don't know if y'all already talked about it, but as good as Bud looked in that first fight, which he did, and I'm not making no excuses for Spence getting whooped on because that's what he did. But, I mean, what if they got this already all mapped out where Bud dominate the first fight, Spence come back, win the second fight, and what if they setting this all up for a mega fight for a trilogy? I mean,
I'm here for it.
I know.
Yeah, so
I'll be here for it. They do that.
I've heard this logic before. I think you can do all that without Spence taking an ass whooping. So that's where I'm struggling with that logic. Like, you can set this up, and if you saying it's like kind of like rigged, then that's fine. But you can rig it without Spence getting his ass whooped. So
I agree. Well, I mean, listen, I'm the biggest Spence fan, but like I said, I'm still a Bottom fan, so I'm not gonna make no excuses for anybody, getting their ass whooped. I mean, that's why I'm just trying to test the logic out. I mean, I want to see what other people are thinking because that's the same thing I was thinking. But then I'm like, well, I mean, with that said, now what if he come back and make Bud look like how Bud make him look in the first fight? So I don't know. I'm not trying to make no excuses for EJ. I mean, we still got to even see if they fight the second fight or not. But I don't know. That's just what I was thinking, because everything nowadays is so up and down. And, as soon as you take one loss, it's like your career is over. So, I don't know. I'm just interested to see how they play out as out.
I'm interested in seeing what would happen in the rematch at this point if Errol Spence is interested in taking on the rematch. I think he will look better at 154 pounds than he did at 147. I'm just going by what Floyd Mayweather said at ringside, basically saying that he looked drained and that, he left some of those things in the gym. But in no way, shape, or form do I believe this is a conspiracy and that Errol just it was fixed. I don't believe that at all.
I mean, but let me ask y'all this. Now, if you Derek James, do you feel like this is the only fight that Errol could take to redeem his career. Because in my eyes, no matter who he beats, until he beat Bud again, until he beats Bud, I feel like he's never. It's just gonna be that stain on his career. So I don't care who he beats. It's like until he beats Bud, I don't feel like he'll ever be. He needs this to redeem his career, in my opinion.
Would you say that about Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing? They got to stay on record. They never beat Jordan.
Yeah,
I disagree. I
mean that's I get where you're going with that, but that's a team sport, so you can't. I get what you're saying, superstar against superstar. Yeah. But if you look at Karl Malone and John Stockton, you can kind of. Because they Hall of Famers, but when you think in their career, they could never be Jordan. So I would have to say the same. But as much as I love Spence, I would have to say if he don't get a rematch versus Bud or can't beat him in the second fight, then I think when people think of his career, they gonna think of his loss to Bud.
Yeah, no, but if you lose to the best of your era, how bad is that? If you, no one, don't get me wrong, I don't like losing at all. I don't want to be second best to nobody, But if I lost to the best in my era, that really can't be too much of a stain.
Well, and I see both sides, because I look at like a Joe Frazier versus Ali. Frazier lost to Ali and he lost to George Foreman, but it was sports is looked at different back in them days. You could take a loss back then and be all right. I think after Floyd came with that 50 and on, there's no knock to Floyd, but man, I don't know whether it was Floyd just doing that in the age of the internet, but it's like after Floyd came through and with that 50 and 0, it's like you can't even take a loss no more, man. And it can't.
So let me address that, because I disagree with Jason on this. I think number one, boxing is a different sport. Jay, if you think about being in your neighborhood, man, the dude that got into a fight and got his ass drugged, there's a stain on that dude. You remember him getting his ass whooped. Now, I get your logic when you start talking about when losing to the best of your era. There's no shame in that, but boxing is different. Like and even when you start thinking about like the NBA, man, if Charles Barkley goes to the finals and faces Jordan and they get destroyed, like they literally get swept, and every game is 30 points, that's a stain on your career, my brother. Just like it was a stain on LeBron's career when he had that meltdown in the fourth quarter. He had to come back and redeem himself. Who was it? Roberto Duran was always one of the better fighters, and not that it necessarily like killed his career or anything, but man, everybody remembers how he got flatlined by Tommy Hearns, bruh. That does leave an affected stain. So yeah, I think he has to get back.
But then you just don't throw the whole boxer's career away.
No, I'm not. Logically speaking, you don't, but I'm not trying to go too far fetched with it, but it's almost like in a relationship, man. You could be loyal, and then that one time you cheat, man, she always is gonna bring that up. Like, it's just certain things that stands out in people's minds, and I hate to say it because I really am a big Spence fan, but I truly don't. He has to fight Bud again, and he has to beat him, because I would hate to see such a good career be ruined by one fight. But honestly, man, Bud beat him up so bad, he has to beat Bud. The only way I feel like Spence can really redeem himself is by beating Bud. And I don't care who he fights. He could fight Tyson in his prime, but he has to beat Bud, man.
No, I hear you. I feel you in the get back.
You got to get your get back. Anything else you want to share with the people, bro?
Nah, man, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all got a good podcast. Keep it going, man.
All right, appreciate you, man. You calling in from Cincinnati?
Yeah, Cincinnati, man. 513.
Gotcha, man. All right, man. Catch up with you soon.
All right, man.
Later. 857, you in the building with the Angry Man podcast. I believe this is Walt. What's going on, man?
You already know, bro. You already know.
What's happening with you?
But
What's happening, Walt?
I did what y'all did. I went back and watched that fight over again, right?
Yep.
And I don't think Errol Spence should fight Terence in the next couple of fights. I think he should get back on some kind of win streak, because if y'all are honest and you look at that fight, you can't see a way where he can beat him. I can't, because he's not going to get faster. His footwork, you know, even if I've seen him like the guy when he fought Mikey and brought off the back foot, he looked a little better. But his skill set is kind of tailor-made for Terence to me. And it's like, unless he can reinvent himself in a couple fights, I just can't see the way him beating Terence. I think the better to have a chance to beating Terence is Boots, but I don't know if he can beat him at this stage of Terence's career. And I'm an Errol guy, but he got beat so bad. If they fight again and Errol gets caught in the first or second like that again, his doubt is gonna come right back in on him, and he's gonna shell up. When you get beat like that, you got to rebuild. You can't go right back into it, especially with a guy who dominated you so bad that you thought you were going to work, and he took all of that away from you. If you see when Errol was walking back to the locker room with Yellow Beezy, the look on his face is that look that you get where you're so shocked that it's going to take him a minute to get back from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, so to me, I would go to 154, take a decent dude, and then try to get a belt there, get my confidence back up, and work on some things. Because in that short period of time where they say the rematch is going to happen, he's not going to be able to fix all of that. And it's like that stepping forward and like just dropping right down into the punch. It's like, if you look at his fights before that, which I did over the last couple of days, he's been doing that. He just was getting away from it against lesser dudes because they didn't have that quick twitch that Terence has. So if you put him in the ring with Boots or Terence, he can get beat up the same way, unless he's got to really work on some things.
Yeah, no, I don't I get where you're coming from. I think there are things that I've seen Errol Spence do in the past that if he repeats those things, he will have more success. So I'm combining the fact that I believe that he was somewhat weight drained with the fact that I've seen him with certain tools that he can use to offset some of the things that Terence Crawford was doing. Again, I'm just talking about being competitive. I'm not talking about winning. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I agree.
One thing I want to make it clear. I think he can be much more competitive, but unless the only way I can see Errol coming in and clear cut, I believe he'll be able to win is if Errol comes being at 154 makes him much stronger than Terence Crawford, because then I can start to see him being able to just bull his way in and gets his shots off. But outside of that, I don't see it. I really don't see it at this stage. But I do see a path for him to be more competitive, and maybe the being weight drained, maybe just turning that around is enough for him to get close to winning. I don't know. I just it's really hard.
The only thing with that is, I don't think Errol's ever going to be stronger than Terence. Terence might not be bigger than him, but Terence is stronger than Errol. You could see it in that fight. It's like,
but even
Errol's been weight drained for the last few fights, and he's never got pushed around like that. You know, so to me, it's going to take a whole lot for him to get back.
It was very odd for Terence to be moving up from 35 and pushing around someone who's been deemed to be a big, strong welterweight by mostly everybody he's been in the ring with, and Terence comes and pushes him around.
They messed up by letting him go into that weight, man. Once he grew into that weight, you can see it now. Because I went back and watched Terence, Jeff Horn, and I watched him against I can't even the Porter fight, not the Porter fight. I mean the Benavidez fight. And you can see he's gotten even stronger since that fight. It was building towards what it is right now. So if Terence goes to 154, it's going to take him maybe a couple fights. But then after that, I can see him doing the same thing in the next few years until he gets too old. Because it's just the only thing that's going to hurt Terence. He's never going to get the Charlo fight. Because once Charlo goes up, he's not coming back down. If he comes back down, it's going to be 160. You know what I'm saying? So, you know they're going to try to give Tim Tszyu that belt because that's what Top Rank wants because they want to get a little lighter, you know, into the complexion of the belt, if you know what I mean. And he's going to have to, like, go through a few dudes to get to that 154. But he might even have to go through Errol again at 154. I think they're going to leave that for Boots. I just think Terence Boots is a fight that you need towards Terence, but I don't think he wants to take that chance right now either. You know, unless the money's really right, you know.
Yeah, he's
so
not gonna take that.
I just see Errol's going to be playing the back. If I'm Derrick James, I build up Errol for a couple more fights because it's going to be so stained in people's mind of what happened to him because it wasn't even close. Like y'all were saying earlier, he got around, but even the rounds that he got in that fight, he scraped by. He got thoroughly dominated. When you get beat that way, y'all played sports. When a team comes in there and just destroys you, it takes a day or two for you to even get right after. You know, imagine getting beat up like that. Like,
yeah,
it's hard, man. Because I'm an Errol guy and I'm still ain't over it, man. It's like I avoid people that they want to talk about that now because that was not just an ass whooping, it was ass whooping.
Anytime I pick up my phone and I go to YouTube because you know I'm always browsing YouTube to see is there anything that has popped up here recently that we need to discuss going on in the sport, and everything is that damn fight. You know what I started doing, Walt? I said, screw this.
What's that?
I went straight to college football, man. You know we got the number 4 class in the country right
Greg,
now.
It's not that
you
shit.
see, we just picked up. In the last 2 weeks, we just picked up 2 5-star recruits coming in the year after.
Oh yeah. Our life.
Greg's sitting at home. He's sitting at home, hoping LSU gets us that first game. Because if LSU don't get us, it's gonna be roll on, baby.
Oh yeah. So we still got things to look forward to now, Jason. That's a completely different topic there.
Y'all lucky y'all get us in the second half of the season because y'all gonna already have a couple losses by then. It won't be as bad as.
We'll see about that, Walt. Y'all talk y'all shit now. Y'all go ahead and talk y'all shit now. I'll see y'all in November.
For what? Just to give us our props on that ass whooping? Like,
exactly right.
Y'all can come out with your midnight black uniforms on, your emerald greens, or y'all can come with whatever you want, man. All you're gonna see is that chop the whole game. Oh, the whole game, dude.
Facts.
Greg, you might even buy that as your new song, your new walking out music, baby.
Oh gosh, that's what y'all gonna be doing.
All right, man. Well, man, I appreciate
y'all have a good one, man,
bro. All right, later. Man, look at this dude in the comment section talking about Greg a casual. Greatest thinks. You guys, all you guys that believe you guys are some kind of boxing experts. None of you dudes aren't. None of you are boxing experts. All you do is somebody that hides behind your screen name and make comments. But I guarantee you won't show your face and actually make those comments so people can get the opportunity to critique what you say. 513, you in the building with the Angry Man Podcast. I believe I know who this is, but tell me your name.
You already know, baby. It's OSL, Ohio Style Lyrics, is in the house.
Man, what's going on with you, bro?
Man?
What's happening, Jason and Greg? Man, now what I believe, man, I believe that this is going to happen. He's going up to that 154, and he's about to make it happen. Spencer's about to make it happen, man, because this last fight, I believe that he was weight drained. Ain't making no excuses, because Spencer didn't make no excuses. So I definitely applaud him for that. But I believe that at 154, he's about to come with this power. He's about to understand what he has to do. Because this last fight, man, I know Spence was like, damn, man, I took a L like a motherfucker. I know he's thinking like, man, this a get back. But I believe that he is going to show up and show out. He's going to have that power. He's going to do his good footwork and his defense. Because I looked at that fight, I was like, man, where was the defense at? Because he was getting caught so quick. But I recognized Crawford had speed. I was like, damn, bro, this speed is like something serious. But I know that Spence got a nice little defense. And then when he was lunging in, I was like, man, he can't be doing that, though. I know that's one of his flaws to me, like that lunging in. I was like, oh, man, this ain't looking good. So I was looking at this, man, my head was busted, man. I had some cats and stuff at my house. We all Spence fans, man. They was like, man, I did not see this shit coming. I was like, I'm like, man, what the hell is going on? But, man, I believe that when he move up, man, that's my guy. Spence is my, man, like I ride with Spence all day. And I believe once he hit that 154, he about to let everybody know, like, nah, bro, this wasn't no, this ain't about to happen like this. I give Crawford his respect, man. He's cold. He's cold as hell. I'm not gonna knock him, man. That cat cold.
Yeah, he's cold.
But if Spence was the way he was if he was like he was when like he fought like Ugas, man. Like I was just looking at that fight too. I was like, man, Ugas was catching him with some strong hits, man, and that's a big dude. And Spence was handling that, man. And then just to hear that Porter said it, I believe Danny Garcia said it, and even Brooks said, like, you know, through all of them, man, Spence hit hardest. I was like, man, it can't be no fluke. It's just he wasn't on his game, man. I believe that weight drain really took a lot out of him. I believe that done a lot to him. So what do you think about that, Greg and Jason?
You mean just moving up to 154 pounds and what he might look like at 154?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to look better at 154.
You think that I'm just going to be real close, or you think it's just going to be like really, really compatible?
I think it's right now. All I can say is it's going to be more competitive. Like,
yeah, I feel you on that.
Like, man, if you look at so ducking down in front of Bud, being weight drained ain't gonna stop that. Leaning to your left where he's able to counter you isn't gonna stop that, right? Like you're being weight drained isn't gonna stop that. Like Errol, I think the weight drain will help him in terms of his energy, his punch resistance, his strength on the inside. I think it'll benefit him in all areas in terms of that. But Errol's going to have to clean up some of those damn flaws. And I think Derrick James saw some of those flaws against Ugas, and that's why he was telling him, hey, man, you got to clean this stuff up. And Errol just being off so long and not necessarily listening and just believing, again, I've said this multiple times, but say it again. I think Errol went into that fight thinking all he needed was pressure and will, because that's what's been working these past several fights. And he was in with a guy that this shit didn't work with. And once
but do you believe that Greg, do you believe if everything was on point, it wasn't no weight drain anything, and like he came in on point the way that he was with Ugas, do you believe that he would have been able to use that pressure the way that he usually do? Because he was using his head movement, and plus his defense was on point too, man. I did not see none of that with Crawford. His defense was just totally off. I mean, he was getting caught with punches that I know it's like on that one punch, man. When Spence punch went to punch Crawford, and Crawford had his right hand up, and it went to his. I mean, on the punch went on the outside of Crawford, and then at that time, Crawford had that clear shot on the inside, and Spence defense wasn't even up. You know, when like he usually do that, Spence would have on that left defense up quick, like you know, cause he knows he's blind. I mean, like he know that side is open. You got to block it, but it's like he forgot how to block, man. Had my head bug. You remember that though, right? Like you saying that?
So I know exactly what you're talking about. And
yeah, that was crazy.
Clearly in my mind, Errol, again, being weight drained doesn't impact that. Let's say he came in and he wasn't weight drained at all, I think the fight would have been more competitive, but he still wouldn't have been catching the shots. He still would have been putting his head right there in front for Bud to throw hooks and tee off. But Spence need to clean up some bad habits to be more competitive.
Okay, what was the bad habits you see? Cause you know, like I seen on the head movement wasn't there, but
I don't think it's
I can't remember if Crawford really. If Spence really got some head movement. I know that he don't got a nice little defense.
Yeah, so his head movement wasn't there, but Spence doesn't use a lot of head movement to begin with, so I don't necessarily want to go there.
Okay.
Varying the jab. Spence didn't vary his jab at all. It became very predictable, and that's the reason why Crawford was able to time it, parry it, and then jab, right? So that was one of the issues he had. Continuing to duck down in front of Terence Crawford with room for Terence Crawford to throw his shots was another issue. I almost felt like Errol wasn't necessarily really even prepared to fight a southpaw, it felt like. And then the other thing was not anticipating what was coming back. With Terence, you need to anticipate based off of where his body is positioned and what punch you're throwing, what could be coming back because he's a counter puncher and ready to catch those shots and return fire. No, he didn't do any of that. So those are just things that he's gonna have to get in the gym and work on. And being weight drained isn't gonna fix that, in my opinion.
Right. So do you believe that? I guess they're supposed to fight in December. Do you feel that that's enough time for him to really hit these points on that level, or do you think he should take a tune up? Because I'm thinking about it would be good to have a tune up, but since he lost like this and he waited this length of time to get back in the ring, and he always said he don't take no tune ups. I mean, there's just so much. We're just so much out there to think about.
If it were me, I would take a tune-up to brush up on my skills. But in 6 months, is it possible to clean up mistakes that you made? Of course, it's enough time. The problem, and the only thing I will say is that, and people that say this, they do have a point. If Crawford adjusts to his adjustments. So my thing is Spence needs to make sure that he is dynamic. He has to go to the ring anticipating that if this doesn't work, then he could do this. If this doesn't work, then he could. Or if I start to have success here, he may go here. Or if I start to have success there, he may go there. You have to prepare for those things. And I think Spence came in with the mindset of, I'm going to walk him down and I'm going to break him. And that's all that's required. And that was a fatal flaw in the fight, in my opinion.
You know what? That's a good point, because, you got to have your plan B, C, D, and E sometimes, You got to have all of those in the play.
They do it.
All right, then.
But I appreciate
Jason and Greg, I'm just glad to hear from y'all, man. Y'all keep on doing what y'all doing, man. Y'all is my guys, man. Jason and Greg. Hey, look, and I'm about to get that shirt, man. I'm about to get that shirt in that hat, because I'm about to make it happen, man. I got to represent Cincinnati, man, to let these cats know what time it is.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
All right, my brothers, man. Y'all be good, man.
All right, later.
All right, now. Now, I find funny, Greg. Folks just can't accept a great fighter beating a good fighter.
Yeah, I feel you. You're on the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. Who we got in the building?
It's Tony.
Tony, what's going on with you?
What's up?
What's going on, man?
What you got for us?
So, man, I'm just listening to what everybody's saying and stuff like that about the fight, and I just think a lot of people are kind of just really in denial. A lot of Spence fans are in denial about everything that happened in the fight. If you think it's going to take more than 6 months for that man to learn how to beat a Terence Crawford. It's going to take more time than that. Even if they go up to 154, but was stronger than him at 147. At 154 is going to be the same. They both going to go up at the same time. You're already more talented than him at 147. So it's going to be the same at 154.
But no one's what we're saying. What I'm at least saying is, like, at 154, EJ. Hopefully he's not. If his weight drain, he looked odd. Anyone can say he looked odd before he even got in the ring. But I'm not saying that he could win this fight. I'm saying it'd be more competitive. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, that's what
it wouldn't be just a straight ass whipping after round 4. That's what we're saying. We're still saying we know in 6 months EJ can't get faster feet than Bud. He can't have faster reflexes than Bud with the counter punching. That's not going to change because they are who they are. But as far as a little minor adjustment, just not sitting in front of them is a simple adjustment that can be made, not to be hit by Bud so easily. Make Bud at least be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's all we.
Another thing too, I was thinking about too, is like, you got to believe people when people say they're gonna do a certain thing and they do it. You know what I'm saying? If you go back and you look at the videos in the past when they was talking about fighting, Bud already told EJ to his face. He told him, when I beat you, people gonna say you weight drained and all that stuff. He called it out before it happened. It's almost a prophecy the way he called it out. Mm-hmm. And that means something, man. That means something because when somebody says something and they step to the plate and they prove it like that, man, there's nothing else to be said. In the rematch, I think it's the same thing, man.
Can I ask you a question? Maybe could it be possible that it was less of a prophecy and he knew he was going to stall him out until he got too big to make the weight? Go ahead.
Hold him out a year instead of fight him in November. Make him wait till
he too big now. We got him. No, go ahead, man.
No, I'm just saying because he literally told the man to his face that when I do stop you, they gonna say that you weight drained and everything. If you look at it now, what everybody talking about? I think he weight drained at 154. He'll have a better shot at making it more competitive. I think all that is just talk. You know what I mean? And with Boots. Yeah, I think Boots do have a really good chance of beating Bud. He's an amazing fighter, but I think he should step in there with a Keith Thurman or Ugas first. And if anybody deserves a fight with Bud Crawford, it should be Errol Spence. I think he do. If anybody deserves a rematch, it should be him. He should be the next person to fight Bud at 147 because he has been undefeated the whole time, and he took out a lot of champions to get to that spot. But
yep.
I think Boots should fight Thurman or Boots should fight you guys and one of those guys, and then he get a shot with Bud. That's just my thoughts.
Well, I appreciate you for calling in, man. Thank you.
Yep.
Later. I think that was a rational caller there, man. I mean, very rational, well put together thoughts. But the only thing I disagree with is really, in my mind, Boots should get his opportunity now because Boots is his mandatory. You are on the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. Who we have in the building?
Man, y'all made me work hard today. Wow.
What's going on?
Jerry Soriano, your lender for life. How is it going, my friends? Happy Sunday.
Same to you.
Chilling, man.
Hey, I wanted to touch on a few topics, and the good news is I do agree with y'all on a couple. But did y'all rewatch the fight last night?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Do you still think, and you might have mentioned this, I'm kind of late coming in, did you still think Spence looked off from round one?
Yes.
Yeah.
He looked, his balance was off.
He looked off in the back. He looked off in the back room.
Just so you're aware, Floyd Mayweather after the second round went to the commentators and literally said that Errol Spence is drained. He had difficulties making the weight. Let me do one thing before we get I get to you. I want to acknowledge Mark. $20. I'm patiently waiting for my Aquaboard documentary, Greg. I got plenty more motivation for you, boss. Appreciate you, Mark M. Thank you for the $20. I am not motivated enough to do that documentary. I'm sorry. But I appreciate you, man. We'll talk about it. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hey, all right. Well, I think it's one of the things that is going to be exhausting from this topic. This fight's been going on for 5 years, and honestly, I don't think Crawford's ever going to get full credit. And so what I wanted to mention, I think Greg, might have been both of y'all had a segment on this week talking about that the PBC is responsible for this newfound fame that Crawford has. And I think y'all are missing the boat again. It's not that he fought Spence. It's how he beat Spence. Because if you don't even have to look at boxing channels. You can look at MMA. You can look at mainstream news. They're all covering. It's not even that he beat Spence. It's how he beat Spence. It was such a dominating performance. So I totally disagree with you on that. I think his new popularity is because of the manner he beat Spence in such a big stage that has gotten him his newfound popularity.
Hold on, Jerry. You just said it though. On a big stage. If he would have done that on a smaller stage, because you've been saying Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford from the giddy up. He needed the stage, and PBC provided the stage. Had he done the same thing and nobody was looking, he would still be the same Terence Crawford. So I disagree with you.
I get what you're saying, but it's not PBC. It's more Showtime Sports because it's their performance. And regardless if they're joining up with PBC, they could be joining up with any boxing promoter. Their platform is the biggest on the market, just like HBO Sports was previously, right? So it's not PBC, it's Showtime if you want to give them credit. But here, let me talk about what I do agree with you guys on. I agree. I think that Crawford needs to fight Boots next. He needs to fight him. But here's what needs to happen in order for that to happen. Number one, Spence has to move on. Either he has to be medically held up or someone in his camp has to say, man, let's fight Zoo. Let's get a piece of the 154. I love Charlo. I love Jermell. Man, but that dude does not want any parts of, I don't know what it is. He does not want any parts of Crawford. And he was in an interview where he said he's not done with 154. But then they show, I don't know if y'all saw the show last night, the replay, where he's telling James Harden, like, he's not even in my weight class. And he just, there's something about him. He doesn't want to talk about Crawford. So Crawford wants him bad, but that fight, either he's never going to get Charlo, or he just needs to concentrate on maybe getting all the belts. But I do agree. He needs to fight Boots next. But here's where I need your help. Because if we do remember, Ennis was offered the fight for Crawford back in January. Regardless of Showtime, or was it with the BLK, whatever it was, here's where Showtime needs to step up and go, you know what? We're going to make Crawford an offer he cannot refuse. Throw money at the fight and promote it like a big, because honestly, I don't believe that Crawford versus Ennis cannot make money. I don't believe that. I mean, granted, Thurman is more of a personality, but Ennis just needs to get pushed out there. His dad talks a lot. You know, he's flashy in the way he dresses. He's not a great talker. He doesn't have a great personality, but his dad can talk a good game. Showtime needs to get behind Ennis and go, this is our next star. We believe he can beat Crawford, and they need to put their money where their mouth is. They need to throw a ton of money at Crawford and go, hey, man, we're going to give you $25 million guaranteed, and we're going to blow this fight up. It's going to be everywhere, and I guarantee you people will get behind it. Because what's happening now is that everyone's going, oh, Crawford. And Crawford is saying, you know, he's the new Bernard Hopkins. He's finally getting his props, but he's 30. He's going to be 36 years old. So I agree with Crawford saying he only needs big fights right now, but big fights mean money. Showtime needs to throw a ton of cash at Crawford and make that fight. Because the one thing, if you haven't learned yet, Crawford ain't scared of anybody, man. But they have to make sense. And I am not one of those Crawford fans that feels Ennis is not ready and all that. No. Throw him in there. Throw him in. He can recover from a loss. He's young enough, just like Canelo did.
So Jerry, I'm partly there with you, right? I'm partly there with you. I think you
gotta be all the way with me, man.
No. I'm partly there. They should maximize the offer to Terence Crawford, and they should make Ennis aware that he may need to take a smaller percentage to get this opportunity, since he is so willing to get into the ring with them, similar to the opportunity that was presented to Shakur Stevenson. Maybe it's 25% in order to make the fight. But whatever they need to do in order to get it, maximize it, where Showtime and PBC will still make money. So that part I can agree with. But just throwing money at them, I don't know, because like they still only did 650 to 700,000. If you guarantee him $25 million and this thing does 250,000 pay-per-view buys, you're taking a huge L.
I get it, but Ennis versus Crawford does more than 250. Ennis versus Crawford should make 400, 500,000 buys. If Showtime gets behind it, because Ennis has momentum. He has momentum. And the guy, honestly, he is the only threat that I see Crawford can really challenge himself. I don't see anyone else being, now granted, Charlo is going to fight, and that's going to be a dog fight, and it's going to be a firefight. The problem Charlo has is that Crawford wants it. He wants it. So he's going to end up losing that firefight. And Spence, I agree with one of your callers that says, hey, man, he's got to get back to just kind of clean up his career a bit. I agree with that, but it doesn't have to be next. Like, he could fight Crawford because these guys, Crawford's going to be 36. Imagine Spence getting a WO championship with Zoo, maybe getting up another belt, and then Crawford fights Ennis and then moves up and collects a belt or two, and then they fight for the unification of all the 4 belts, and one of them retires after that, or they both retire after that. But Spence wanting this fight next is what's screwing everything up. And I think that if someone just talks him out of it, and it should be his trainer. Because honestly, guys, listen, I've been listening to y'all talking about, hey, Spence should have done this, Spence should have done that, Spence should have done this, Spence should have done that. And I was listening to Derek James in the corner. But you know the reason why Spence couldn't respond? Because they didn't practice that. They didn't practice that. Their whole strategy was, we're going to break them. We're going to beat them like a slave. So you could have told him, oh, yeah, you got to get from in front of him. You got to do this. You got to do that. Dude, y'all didn't practice that. Spence is going, what? His head is spinning. He's been getting bopped in the head going, you want me to do what? We didn't even go over that, coach. So I'm telling you, and this is going to make Derek James a better trainer. Derek James took this very, very personal, and I get it, but he put himself in front of the fighters. And I'm sorry, man. Last week when I called and I said I felt saddened for Spence, because that dude, he took a beating, man, and that's pretty embarrassing. I don't know if y'all have read the news, how his city's kind of turned. I'm located out of Texas, and the city kind of turned on him a little bit. His fans kind of turned on him a little bit, and it's sad because I did not see Derek James consoling him like somebody that knew this kid since he was a young boy. He was like, I don't know if y'all heard it. He was just like, I don't think I'm ever gonna get it. It's gonna take me a while to get past this. And he just, everything, and the way he looked at Crawford, when Crawford came over and was like, good fight, y'all. You know, Derek James looked like he wanted to punch Crawford in the face. Like everything was so personal with him. So I hope they go back to the lab, but I hope that it's not next. Because I agree with you. It should be Ennis. And honestly, I heard Crawford talk, and I don't think he's going to fight Thurman. I initially was thinking Thurman's a good fight because Thurman talks a good game, and it's just another name. And honestly, he only has one loss, and it'll be a good fight. But I think that Crawford, just like how Spence passed him up, he remembered how Thurman treated him, and he said, hey, I don't know, it was an interview earlier this week. He said, Thurman blew me off. He said I wasn't a real 147-pounder. So I don't think Thurman's going to get that fight. It should be Ennis, but you guys should start pumping up PBC Showtime, or not PBC, Showtime needs to get behind Ennis and make Crawford a good offer. That's all I got, my friends. Happy Sunday. I'll hang up and listen.
All right, appreciate you calling in, Jerry.
All right, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm all for them putting money behind it, just throwing away money. That's not registering for me. They got to make sure that the deal makes sense. 909, you in the building with the Angry Man podcast. Who do we have?
Angry Man, what up? This is Bruce Leroy.
Bruce Leroy, what's going on with you, bruh?
Man, I'm still recuperating from the ass whooping my boy took, but You know, I,
Hey,
I'll
Bruce,
eventually be over
real
it.
quick. Let me give the people in the chat real. We got 218 people in the building, 121 likes. If you get the opportunity, please hit the like button so other people can find this content, or the dislike button. But make sure that you are engaging with the content. And if you're new to the channel, this is AM Sports Media, the Angry Man Podcast. Be a part of the family. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead, Bruce. My bad.
Okay, no doubt, it's cool. Bro, I just want to touch on a couple of things. Y'all know I don't take long. Man, I want to make sure that everybody is not being blind and just, we just want to see our boy fight. I get it. And I definitely want to see him redeem himself against Bud.
Yep.
But when I heard that guy talking about Spence, and I don't even know if that guy is a real doctor that was on that page.
Yeah.
What was that, DBA Boxing or something like that? I can't remember the name of the page. One thing I want to point out is that that's a Bud page. Just so everybody knows, that's a Bud Crawford supporter page. Everybody, we had all these pages. It was pages rooting for Spence and saying why Spence was going to win, and then you had the pages that was, on Bud's side. That was a Bud page. They've had that guy on before, listening to the conversation. Now, the things that guy said, they were things that we all seen. We've seen those things. I've seen him losing his balance. I've seen how he looks different, the way he throws punches, everything. He doesn't look the same. I told my brother, I said, man, he looked the closest to himself in the Garcia fight. And it seems like with each fight, he looks more and more different. So my thing is, I just hope that we're not being blind and not accepting the fact that Errol is not the same fighter as far as, like, coordination-wise and mentally. I hope that's not the case, man. Because the stuff that doctor was saying, it was really an eye-opener. I don't even know if the guy is a doctor, but the things he was pointing at, they were things that I noticed. But it's just when people win, because he won his fight, nobody's going to say anything about it. He won the fight. And everybody just wants him to continue fighting. But I see the way he throw his punches, man, and how he'll lose his balance. Like, one time he threw a punch at Ugas, and he missed, and he turned in a complete circle. And I just looked at stuff like that. I was like, what the hell? Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And I just noticed, I'm like, man, when I listened to that doctor, he was pointing out everything that I had already been thinking. And you just never think that it's something serious like that, neurological damage. I'm like, damn. When I heard him say the stuff, I was like, shit. And I noticed the look in his eyes and all of that, his speech, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's all different. So, man, I do not want Errol getting back in that ring if he's not okay. But I can't imagine that the people in his corner would let him do that. I mean, he got his dad in his corner.
Yeah, that's where I have an issue, because there's just the likelihood that it's probable that he got through all these different athletic commissions, personal doctors, family members. They're just gonna send him out there, man. And the other thing that's interesting is that if Spence has something neurologically wrong with him, let's just say his family simply wanted him to go out there and get that paper because he needed that big fight, or they wanted him to have that big fight and get all that money. Why directly after the fight is he screaming about a rematch?
Right.
If you know that you have a neurological issue and everybody in your camp knows you have a neurological issue and you just got into this just to go ahead and get this paycheck, it doesn't then align that he's coming back and saying, I want a rematch as soon as the fight's over. Doesn't make sense. So there's just too many things that just, for me, I dismiss it because there's just too many things, man. And somebody just that has the ability to diagnose someone just sitting at their couch. Is it possible that you can see something? You remember the guy that was on Flip or Flop? Yeah, someone diagnosed him with a certain type of cancer by just watching the show, and they were right. Now, had this guy gone through any kind of cancer screening at that time? Probably not. I think the difference here is that Spence has probably been through a battery of tests to test whether or not he has any neurological issues, and it would be safe he would be smart to do that just in case there was ever any residual neurological issues. So it would be gross negligence if he just got through all these different fights and all this stuff is occurring. So I don't trust that. That's just my opinion.
Okay. One of the guys on the page he brought up, he made an interesting point. He said Spence used to be a whole lot more creative in the ring. He said now he just parries and catches punches. And Spence used to be a whole lot more creative about it. And I got one question. I need somebody to answer this for me because this is the thing that the doctor pointed out that really caught my eye. Why did they feel the need to check on him with the doctor going into the third round?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Because of his legs.
His legs wasn't under him?
Yeah.
Shit, when he got up from that knockdown,
was in the fourth round.
He was defending himself.
It was in the fourth round.
Huh?
Yeah, it was after going into the fourth round. They checked on him. I don't know why they did it because he looked fine in the third round. The legs still weren't 100%, but he didn't look as bad as he did, later on in the fight. So that was weird why they just started checking on that round there, but I don't know about that. It's weird too.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I was like, why are they checking on him? When they did it, me and my brother was like, what the hell? Like, ain't nothing wrong with him. Like, what's going on? That was strange. And the doctor was saying it's because they know they had somebody that was compromised. Maybe they knew he was just drained and he wasn't feeling his best, so they wanted to protect him, I guess. I sure would like to hear from somebody who was around the fight why they did that, because I just didn't see any need for that. I'm like, what the hell are they looking at? What are they checking on him for? That was strange to me. That was real strange to me.
No, I feel you on that. I don't know what was going on with that either, but I definitely feel you on that. Anything else you want to share with the people?
Nah, man. I just oh man, though, a rematch. I'm gonna watch because if my boy wants a rematch, then I guess I gotta support him. But I'm gonna be watching with one eye open.
I feel you, dog. All right, man. Appreciate you calling in, bro.
All right, man.
All right, later. Hey, 215 in the building, 144 likes. Guys, hit that like button. I got to give my boy Easy Band official a shout out. I see you in the building, boy. Appreciate you for joining us. We got a 513 calling in. I saw you calling a couple times. 513, boy. Cincinnati live up in the building. What's going on with you, bro? Hello?
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
What's happening?
Pretty good. Listen, I've been listening to everybody talk about Errol Spence's issues.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's giving Bud the credit that he deserves. When he fought Danny Garcia, Earl was 100%. He's been working out. He's been training. He's passed the physical, and he's been fine. Now that he's got beat, and Bud is just in a higher class above Earl. He's just a much better fighter than Earl. And nobody's giving Bud his credit. I think that's what it is.
I think a lot of people are giving Bud credit. Like, we gave Bud his flowers all last week. But you got to admit, Errol Spence did not look like Errol Spence from the first round.
He did. When I looked at him, when I watched it 7 times. Earl fought like he normally fights. It's just that Bud took away everything that he did.
I'm not
Bud
talking about
fought such a skillful fight, man, that it made Earl look like something was wrong with him.
I'm not talking about the way he fights, though. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about physically how he looked. He looked off. Like, I do believe, I agree with you that he fought a similar fight to what he fought against Ugas, and he went in the ring with the notion that all he required was pressure and the will to break him, and that's all that was going to be required. And I think it required more than that with Crawford, and we mentioned that in our keys to victory. So I don't disagree with you on that. I think what people are talking about is physically. Spence punches literally had nothing on them. Like, it's like
early
nothing.
It did. Early on it did, but here's the thing.
I never saw his punches have anything on him.
I think Spence went in knowing he could not beat that boy. I think what you saw was fear. I think you saw fear.
Come on, man. Come on now.
I'm telling you, I think that's what you saw, fear. There was nothing wrong with Earl when he fought Danny Garcia. When he beat Danny Garcia, nobody said anything. He had that same
We
look,
did say
the
something about
sleepy eyes.
He did not have the
You
same.
know, he's been
look as
working
Haney.
out. He's had another car accident. He's been fine. He passed the physical. He's in great shape. And just when he lose, now all of a sudden nobody's used to seeing Earl get beat like that.
So let me ask you a question.
I think that's and
let me ask you a
Bud
question,
is just one hell of a fighter, man.
No, nobody's taking that away from him. But let me ask you something.
And wasn't nothing wrong, but you know wasn't nothing wrong with Earl. He just got his ass whooped, bro.
Let me ask you something. So Floyd
Yes,
Mayweather mentioned that Terence Crawford is a bad boy. One of the like reminds him of a young Floyd Mayweather. You agree with that?
I think he's better than Floyd.
Well, you
Oh my God.
You drinking some shit now over there. I don't know what the fuck you
Man,
drinking.
you
I mean,
so much
I
Bud,
think he's better than Floyd.
Man,
That's just my opinion, but we'll never know. But that's just my opinion.
Oh, okay. But
he hasn't lost the fight either.
You agree with what Floyd said, right?
I agree with what Floyd said, yeah.
Okay, so Floyd is a trustworthy source because Floyd is someone who has been in the sport, knows what a good fighter looks like, knows what things in the sport look like, correct?
Okay, I'm listening.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. He, after the second round, he went over and told the announcers at the booth that Errol's weight drained, and he had a problem making the 147 pounds. He could see it right after the second round. So Floyd Mayweather is saying that something didn't look right. Bozy Ennis is saying something that didn't look right. Roy Jones is saying something that didn't look right with Errol. That wasn't.
But here's the thing:
Errol.
if Errol knew something was wrong, he should have never stepped in the ring. Once he stepped in the ring, he put away all excuses.
Yeah,
there was no excuses. Once he stepped in that ring, he said, "I'm ready to go."
I don't disagree with that. Like when you're in the ring,
once he stepped in the ring, because if something was wrong, he should have never stepped in the ring.
But he gonna get that $25 million, regardless of what's wrong. You get that $25 million.
I go with that, but
I
really just feel that Bud is just a much better fighter. Just a much better fighter.
I think Bud has demonstrated that he's a better fighter. I don't think to the extent that we saw in that fight. I do believe that Crawford, and we've already said this, that we believe Errol has to improve some of the mistakes that he made in the fight in order to be successful.
And now you're talking.
Fight. But it's not just about being weight drained. But we've been saying that for the longest. We've been saying that.
Yeah. Bud just made Earl look like he could not fight. Bud is just on a whole nother level, man. And the way Earl fought, that's how he's been fighting everybody. Most of the fighters he fought were scared. Most of the fighters he fought were scared. And then he really hadn't fought anybody.
Come on now. Come on, man.
Who else he really fought? Besides Sean Porter, Kell Brooks, and Danny Garcia. He should have knocked out Mikey. He should have knocked out Mikey Garcia.
Come on, dude.
Oh my God.
This shit is blasphemy.
Who else has he fought? Give me another name.
Those names are good enough. Those names that you gave us are good.
Three good. Okay, let's say he has 3 good fights.
I didn't hear you say.
Oh my God.
But what I'm saying, listen, what I'm saying. Listen, Sean Porter. First of all, Sean Porter almost beat him.
Okay.
Sean Porter almost beat him. Danny Garcia didn't even fight. And Danny Garcia didn't fight.
Okay.
Danny Garcia didn't even fight. And Mikey Garcia should have got knocked out.
Okay.
And Mikey Garcia should have got knocked out.
Go ahead.
Mikey Garcia, 135 pounds, man. He should have knocked out Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia walks out with no scars, no bruises, no nothing on his face.
Mm-hmm. So anything else you want to share with the people?
All I want to say is, man, y'all need to give Bud his credit and quit making it sound like that man was in there sick. When he answered all the questions at the end of the fight. He did the post-conference. There's nothing wrong with Bud besides with Earl, besides Bud made him look like he couldn't fight. That's all.
Well, I appreciate your feedback. I do agree with some of the stuff you said, but there's other points of it that I don't agree with. But I can appreciate your perspective, man. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir. I appreciate yours too, brother.
All right. Peace.
All right, God bless you now.
All right, man. Same.
Oh
All right,
man, my head
Well,
hurt. My head
all right,
hurt,
man.
bro.
At the end of the day,
God
Errol
damn,
Spence
my
was
head
weight.
hurt.
No. But Errol Spence was weight drained. Errol Spence had something wrong with him. He had glossy eyes, and I'm taking every bit of credit away from Terence Crawford right now. He didn't do shit. It was all Errol. Next time Errol moved up 154, he's gonna whoop his ass. I'm just playing. No, but seriously. I mean, I feel like we've been saying this for a while now, and sometimes I don't know why. Maybe we're not articulating it well, but for whatever reason, it's just not resonating when we say. I think Terence Crawford did a great job, and he clearly was ready and sharp. I felt that Errol Spence made some key mistakes in that fight, and he has to clean up those mistakes. But I also think physically that wasn't the same Errol. It just wasn't. And there's too many people who actually pick Bud saying this. So that's my issue. But
man, now Bud's the best ever. Bud can beat Floyd. Bud can beat Muhammad Ali in the same night in his prime. He can do whatever to anyone. Come on, man. Shit.
Yeah.
If he's, but at the same time they shitted on Spence. So if Spence wasn't a good fighter, how does Bud also get elevated from beating a shitty fighter in Spence? Make it make sense. You can't have it both ways.
It doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. This might be our last caller. We'll see. 254, you in the building with the Angry Man podcast.
Fellas, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Are you there?
Fellas, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I'm
here.
You.
Okay.
This T?
This T word. Y'all know what's up.
Yo, what's going on with you, T?
What up, T?
Hey, checking in, man. I just wanted to throw something on some of the topics some of these callers been talking about, specifically the quote-unquote doctor that was on the other show, and some of what he was saying. So, number one, we don't know who that person was. And two, some of the things that he described as tells of neurological issues are also things that you see in a fighter that's been weight drained. So there's no excuses. Champ already said no excuses. I'm ready to run it back. I'm with him 100%.
Facts.
But that being said, let's use our common sense here. We could clearly see he was having a hard time making the weight, something that people didn't pay attention to. When you look at the final press conference, Bud was up. He was animated. He was fussing with people in the front row. And Errol came off like this super calm peacemaker. He wasn't talking trash back when normally he would get into it. You could see he was real irritated and aggravated because he's probably starving. He knows he's not coming in 100%. And I think those were signs that things were getting to him. What are y'all thoughts on that before I say the next thing?
I can see that. Errol looked a little bit drained during that presser. But they always kind of look like that. So, it's hard to say, man. Errol, 33 years old, been at that weight for a long time. It's hard to say. I'm just going by, what Mayweather said, what I saw with my own eyes, what some of the other people have said. He looked off physically, and so I noticed that like literally before I heard anybody comments, because I hadn't even sat down yet and put back on my headset so that I can hear what people were saying. I did not see him walk out. I did not see his interview. I literally walked in, looked at Errol for 10 seconds and said, man, he looks off. Like he looks like his balance look off. Like it looks like he'll fall over right now. And that was my thoughts as I sat down as the first round ended and you saw how it went. So.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. He definitely just walking into the arena in the back when he did the interview, he just looked a little off to me from the beginning. And I said that during the stream, and I was in y'all stream at that time. But the other thing I want to point out is back to this doctor that they say, doctor whatever. Those symptoms that he was showing, the limited resistance to punches, the fact that he didn't show enough strength to even get to a stalemate when him and Bud kind of locked horns and Bud pushed him back. Errol's a big, strong dude. Like that's not going to happen no matter what type of wrestler you are. You just don't see that happening. These are things that you see from somebody who's not at 100%. Maybe he had like a cold or something. It could have been something simple as that, and he just wasn't feeling 100%. And it showed up in his performance. That's going to make your timing be off. It's going to make your strength, you're not at your 100% strength. I think those things all played a factor. So at 154, I think he is going to play a better effort. I don't think he has the skill set to offset all the different things that Bud can do. And I think those two things can be true. He could have not been 100%, but he also may not be good enough to beat Bud. I think those are logical perspectives to have. Am I right?
Exactly. And what we've been saying for a while, like two things can be true, guys. He could have not been physically what he was based off what we've seen in the past, but also you can clearly see some of the mistakes that he made, which are not the product of being weight drained. Like, he got to clean that stuff up. So, yes, two things can be true.
Absolutely. Those are just my thoughts, man. I want to share that. Just been listening, so I'm gonna jump back in the comments and do my thing. Y'all keep it pumping, man. 10K and better. Y'all keep rolling, fellas.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for calling, T Ward.
Yes, sir.
That was T Ward of the Mic Check Podcast. Y'all go check them out. And yes, we are over 10,000 subscribers now, man. We in the building. 832, you're in the building with the Angry Man Podcast.
Hey, what's going on, Jason Gray? How y'all doing today?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
Man, hanging in there like a coat in the closet. Look, that caller before last, man, I might need a neurological exam after that cat got on there. But my question, my question is, he said something about Errol not stopping Mikey. Like, nobody's dropped Mikey, much less stopped him his whole career, no matter what weight he's been at. I've never even heard of him being knocked down in the amateurs. But my question is, did y'all happen to see his legs after he got dropped in the second round and went to get up?
They were wobbly.
So, not to take anything away from Bud, because I'm actually a fan of his fights, but it looked like even Mean Machine performed better against Bud than Errol did.
Yep.
So I think it's clear that something wasn't right with him. And he looked asleep when I saw him walking into the arena, and then just his demeanor in the fight, he didn't look steady. I will say that if you take Bud and Errol's style and you put them in two different fighters, I still think there's going to be a very similar outcome. I think whoever fights under Bud's style is going to uproot whoever fights in EJ's style. But I do definitely believe there was something off with him that night, whether it was he didn't have an issue with weight or the rumors circulating about him getting a rib injury and unable to spar for 6 weeks. His timing did look off, and that could be a reason. Also, did you guys notice how fast Errol's face puffed up during the fight? I've never seen anybody swell like that against Terence before in a fight, and maybe not being able to spar. His face wasn't used to being punched.
Yeah. That he bloodied up fast. Like, I was shocked, man.
Yeah, there was something that was definitely off with the way that fight unfolded, especially when the State Athletic Commission jumped in the ring, the doctor, just to take a look at him. I think they saw something was wrong with his legs from the beginning, but it is what it is. He lost, and who knows if he has what it takes to make the adjustments and get past Terence. He's a special fighter, without a doubt, but I'm like, oh boy, I'll be watching with one eye open and the other one closed if they fight again. So
I feel you on that one, bro. I feel you on that one.
But I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all keep pushing and keep chugging on. I appreciate y'all coming on here.
All right, man. Appreciate you, man. Thanks.
All right. Be blessed.
502, you the last caller of the day, man. What's going on with you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I've watched that fight 3 times. I'm a huge Errol Spence fan. I've been watching him and Bud from the very.
Hello? Hey, Jay, can you hear him?
Nah, he cut out. Is he still show like he's on the line?
Yeah, he's connected, but I can't hear him. Hey, caller, I can't hear you right now, man. You might have to call back. I don't know if something's going on with your phone. I'll open the line back up just for the 502. I'll take his call only. And if he calls back in the next 30 seconds. If not, we're going to wrap this up. Okay, there we go. 502, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we
can
lost
hear
you
you
there
now.
for a second.
Okay. I just want to say I've been watching Errol Spence since the Olympics, and I've been watching Bud, too. I follow both of their careers closely. I like Bud, but I'm a huge Errol Spence fan.
Yeah.
And I've never seen Errol Spence look that bad. I mean, you could tell when he was coming in. I've never seen. I mean, he had to be weight drained. And the reason why I say he was weight drained because when he was discussing about fighting Keith Thurman, he was going to fight him at 154. And honestly, I think Errol Spence's last fight at 147 when he beat Ugas was probably his last fight. And I watched the whole fight. He got knocked down in the second round by a punch to the shoulder. And he was off balance ever since. And I really think his next fight, the rematch, you're going to see a whole different total of Errol Spence. I think the game plan was right. I've never seen Errol Spence hurt before from a punch. I mean, I watched him against Ugas. Ugas didn't hurt Errol with that punch. Errol was looking for his mouthpiece. He thought his teeth had fell out because he had partials. He thought they fell out. And then as soon as he put it back in, he went and beat the heck out of Ugas. And anybody watching that fight, you can see I've never seen Errol hurt in a boxing match and never seen his face look like that ever. So, but I know Bud doesn't have a great chin. You can see some of his fights. He's been hurt. He got rocked by Gamboa. He got rocked by Mean Machine. I mean, even David Avinasian put up a good fight, better than Errol did. That wasn't the real Errol Spence. I'm not taking credit away from Bud's victory. He won, but he didn't win at Errol Spence being 100%. His next fight at 154, if he beats him, I'll tip my hat to him. But I don't think he will. It's going to be a very competitive contest. And if Errol Spence can take his punch, he is going to knock Bud out. This is going to be a trilogy. You can take it to the bank, I know.
I hope you're right, caller. Anything else you want to share with the people?
I mean, it's funny though. You know, I'm from the old school. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, the home of the GOAT.
Hello. And we lost him again.
He lost him again.
502. We lost 502. You there?
Yeah, I don't know about Spence knocking Bud out because Spence not that type of puncher like that. He beats you down by attrition.
Yeah, I don't
and
know.
Nothing in this first fight doesn't show me that also just completely flip around like that.
Yeah, it's wishful.
Can it be more competitive? Yes.
Yeah, agreed. Was that Spence? I don't think that was the full version of Errol Spence. Can he be more competitive at 154? I think so. To what extent, I don't know, because he's going to have to clean up some of those issues that we saw in that fight, period. But there is room for adjustments. So, Jay, I think this is going to conclude us, man. We've been going at it for 2 hours and 21 minutes. We got 162 likes. If you haven't hit the like button yet, guys, make sure you hit the like button before you leave the building. Also, go check out www.nadajvodka.com. That is the new sponsor of the channel. Great tasting vodka for an affordable price. And, man, I mean, it tastes great, man. I drink it straight. I drink it with with a chaser, whatever, man. It's a great vodka. Make sure you go check that out. Jay, anything else we want to share with the people? Yeah, we're over 10,000 subscribers now. And very appreciative of that. I want to thank some people that I know are in the building today. Ryan Prentice. Definitely want to thank Brenda McDonald because she's been one of the people that has supported the channel for a long time. Levy Anthony, Jay, who else be in the building all the time? Easy Bands Official is always in the building, man. Even though he disagrees with us, he rocks with us hard. King Art, always in the building, rocks with us hard. So I can't be mad at you, even though Santos. There's a lot of people that we always see up in the building supporting the channel, man. So continue to do so. Yeah. We got content.
Just want to give these shout outs real fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just want to thank David H twice, Mark M, and Jay Wonderful for their contributions to the channel.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for your contributions. We already got content recorded for tomorrow that will be dropping. And so be on the lookout for that. And then, yeah, man, just keep supporting the channel. Keep sharing, liking, subscribing, hitting the like button, telling people, whatever. we're starting to gain more and more traction out there. Byron Bradley, I see you guys. I see you in the comment section a lot too, and I don't think you agree with most of what we say, but no, we appreciate it. Cool JC, appreciate you guys, man. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on our live stream. And be on the lookout for more content this week. Until next time, peace.
Peace. Man.